Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 74. One fantastic year. We are here for our first official show of 2024. Why am I moving? We have been off air for a couple of weeks with Christmas and the New Year's because some people couldn't hold their liquor and were not available to do the show last week. So we are here now with you all. Thank you so much for joining us. We realize it's a bit of a break. We're also 3 minutes late because why wouldn't we be? My mic decided that being audible was not important, which some of you may agree with, some of you may not. Nobody else gets to decide that except the people who are making this show. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you've all had a wonderful holiday season. How is everybody here at Stat Check? Nathan, would you like to kick us off?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I don't know. I I got to take a vacation. um, I don't know. I I
Wow.
did family things, and then I came home and I had like 2 days off, and before going back to work, so it was amazing. Um, I built 2,000 points of World Eaters, who are now primed, black, and ready for painting. I've been playing World Eaters. I had the pleasure of playing Jeremy over the weekend to kind of get Eldard into the dirt, basically. But it was fun. Um, I don't know, man. There's not a lot going on over here. We'll probably get into more New Year's Eve, like resolution-y stuff at some point in the episode. So I'll save all that for later. I'm running an RTT on Saturday this week and then playing in an RTT in 2 weeks. So I'm going to try to play 40K, I guess, kind of. I don't know, maybe.
We don't do that here.
No,
Let's not get carried away.
I know, right? Anthony, how are you doing?
So surprising. Me next. I'm pretty good. I start a new job tomorrow, which is exciting. Woo! I've had many days off, and I've done not a lot with them, so that was cool. I guess that's kind of what you're supposed to do with days off, though the concept of rest makes me nervous. Anything else? Rogue stayed open. That was sweet. Nice to have a local again.
Hell yeah.
So that was cool. We'll probably do an RTT or something there in the upcoming weeks to, ring it in properly. Get back to me having like a sketchy 2-1 record at my local RTTs. It's my favorite part of living where I live. So yeah. Nothing else super interesting. I was finally able to clear a bunch of the stuff out of my house because I have a local again. So I just took a whole bunch of Warhammer and I was like, hello, new store. Look at all this stock you have now. So that was cool.
Given GW's ability to actually deliver stock some days, that probably actually helped him a lot.
No, I'm sure it was awesome, but it was definitely most awesome for me. So, yeah, I don't think there was anything else super exciting that happened in that window that I could think of. Not offhand, anyway. It's been broadly a good time to be me.
Sounds good. Jeremy, you've been a little more active. How's your last couple of weeks been?
I have been. Context for anyone who hasn't seen me in over a month, because I wasn't on the show for I think all of December. I had a really bad chest infection and ended up having to cancel pretty much everything for all of December, including my attendance and judging at LVO. So I'm sorry for anyone who I'm not going to be able to see. And I realize a lot of people have been asking me when they're going to see me. Not going to be at LVO, unfortunately. I had to cancel that last month because of my sickness. But I am now almost fully recovered. And so this past weekend, I went to our annual store championship at the Red Dragon. Dan, being the insane person he is, made the prize a belt. So trying to catch it without the reflection. This way. There we go. So that's the Red Dragon right there. And yeah, the whole joke going into the event was that we weren't allowed to allow Francois to have a second one because he won last year's store championship. But yeah, so I've been, took Votan to that, stomped my way through, I think, 3 other members of Team Canada on my way there. And yeah, just looking forward to the new year. I'm going to be testing the waters a little bit to see if my body can take a GT this weekend. Heading down to the Unified Tournament Circuit finals that are being hosted by Tables and Towers and Goonhammer. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And then I will still be helping out with LVO. I just won't be in attendance. So I've been helping them get the FAQ all sorted out, make sure it all makes as much sense as can make sense within 40k, and in context of the WCW FAQ that kind of threw some of us for a loop. Yeah, that's where I'm
Nice.
at now. I'm finally able to do things again, and it feels good. All right, Ennis, what have you been up to?
Not a ton on the sort of like event side. I've played a decent amount of Warhammer. One of the perks of my calendar clearing down over the past couple of weeks has been getting to play a bunch. So, continually being disappointed by the Space Marine Codex is how I would describe my last 3 weeks. I think I've played like 6 different sub factions and 4 detachments in like 10 or 11 games, and every single game I played with it, I've hated, win or lose. It's great. I cannot stand this Codex. I'm really glad we're going to have it for 2 or 3 more years.
Just don't worry, the supplements will fix everything, right, Dennis?
I'm sure. I'm sure that adding more rules to the core of Oath of Moment's a boring mechanic will be great.
Yeah, sure.
Like, it's good, it's powerful, it's very, very strong rule. Do you know what it's not? Is any goddamn fun.
But you get to pick one enemy unit and
Yep.
hit it really
How
hard.
do you the perennial question for Marines will always be, how do I kill unit 2? And it's
Kill him?
it's a really tough question, unfortunately.
Tank shock, grenades, and a bit of moxie.
Yeah, that's pretty much as far as we've gotten, and it's not fun. And the worst part is that I have given myself them for WTC, so I am stuck with them for the next 8 months.
You fool! You
What if they don't make the
absolute
8? Then you just don't touch
baboon!
them.
It's Marines, Demons, and Nids are the 3 factions that I have.
Oh, you idiot!
No.
Just like
That just doesn't work with Scotland's strategy for what it's worth, like, at all.
Well,
You're
Scotland's
really-
strategy is gone because you stole one half of it.
I didn't steal anybody, first of all. Second of all, 6 10s and a 20 is still a round win, all right? 7, rather.
so. Anyway, I played a game with Demons. I played some games with Tyranids. The Tyranid games are all really fun, really, really good 11-9 losses. They're great fun.
Rough.
Brutal, buddy.
Such is
Brutal.
life.
Dude, just bring me back to this time last year when Innes couldn't lose a super major and he was playing Crusher and life was cruisy.
I got a super major this weekend. Let's hold before we're committed to that. But I'm not gonna win it, but it's fine. But
Well, there's a big difference between I'm gonna win a super and wow, it's shocking that I did not win this super. And I think that's the timeline we're on right now.
I'm glad that that's not a thing that many people get to live in for a long time, because that'd be a really boring mad state. Yeah, let's go with that. If it's shocking that 1 out of 350 people didn't win an event, then why did anyone else show up? Right? That's the boring part. So I'm glad that it's not quite as stale a meta as that could have been if it had lasted much longer. Yeah, with that said, I'm doing the Nottingham Super Major this weekend. I stole Kit Hannah's list because he beat me at WCW, so he's the best player in the world.
That's
so I
all
was
it
just
takes.
we'll just play a Storm Raven. It's fine. I'm addicted to flyers. I think that's where I'm basically landing.
It's the better flyer.
That remains to be seen. I could do worse than I did at WCW. That is entirely on the cards. So,
can you? You did as well as I did.
Anthony's muted either because the cat or Anna's attacking him, or because he's just really upset we continue to be planes. I choose to believe it's both.
It's probably both.
So yeah, I'm leaving down for that one. It's
the planes, he says in our backstage chat.
Of course he does. It's not really a plane. It's going to deploy on the board every game and go in hover mode. Which just
so it doesn't have the aircraft keyword then.
It's a fast skimmer at that point, right? If we're going 5th edition terminology, so it's fine. It barely counts. So yeah, 350 player super major this weekend. There's, I think everyone in the UK is in attendance. Manny, Vic, Dave Gaylord, myself, Brian, in theory. Tim Penny's coming over, which is going to be great. Yeah, it should be a really good event. It promises to be really awesome. And also, there'll be 11 undefeated players with a top 4 cut. So, completely a reasonable tournament. That should definitely
they're definitely using the best kind of tiebreaker.
Oh yeah, right? OGW. It's an impromptu team event. It's going to be super fun. Yeah, I have nothing more to add. I'm so over 300 player tournaments. If you don't have enough rounds for your tournament count, why stop at 100 players? It's fine. You don't need 1,000 players for a tournament.
Red Room, we're talking about the Nottingham Major.
Nottingham Super Major,
Super
yeah,
Major, I guess,
UKTC
technically.
Nottingham. Yeah, 350 players, 5 rounds.
The GT,
Qualifies.
that's all.
I love it.
It's
Might be a
a
tougher field
really
than LVO.
weird. It's a really weird
Probably.
major.
The difference is at LVO, they will actually have one true undefeated at the end of that event.
Well, that entirely depends. Somebody might just lose to terrain, which I'm not considering getting defeated.
Well, at least... No, I'm not even going to say anything there.
Why don't we talk about the 1 week of stats that I've got banked over here
Go
instead?
for it. And before you do that, David, it should be 3 120 player tournaments because you could actually run all of them with 4 undefeated players rather than 2 events. Just you cannot have more. If you're going to run 7 rounds, you cap at 128 players. Other than beyond that, stupid idea. You shouldn't do it.
Or you're just okay with having undefeateds and they all win first.
That would work too. But if you're going to have a top 4 cut, you can't have 11 undefeated players. It's just not a functional format.
If you're doing a top cut, it should include all of the undefeateds.
That seems reasonable.
Absolutely.
Which
Nathan.
is one of the benefits or bonus upsides, whatever, however you want to look at it, of GW's US Open system, where they will never do a top cut for their bracket system that excludes someone who is undefeated.
Yeah, for sure. It's 100% a benefit, but it's one of the foibles of the 2-day major format is that it just doesn't. It's not a functional tournament in that sense.
Yep.
Somebody will win this event, and there will be 7 people that they did not even remotely have to contend with, and that's not an undefeated tournament winner.
Sure. I think they'll still keep it as a win, though. Just saying.
Davos, I helped them write that list. Davos has said someone on my team's against a Corvus Black Star and we do for the end times. And one of the requirements on that list was I would really like to play Deathwatch. So we worked on it.
All right.
Oh,
All right, let's
boy.
talk stats
All
so
right.
we can talk a little more about meta.
Yeah. All right. So there's not a lot to talk about. We've broken up basically by years. We'll talk about more stats in like a couple of weeks when we have like better trends to track. Everybody I know is interested in AdMech and in Necrons. We'll talk about them both a little bit briefly and how Necrons have the same problem basically that Iron Hands had, where their actual good win rate is hidden behind their grouped together win rate. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And then we're going to just run away from that topic and talk about something else entirely. Probably the meta for the Nottingham tournament or something like that. I don't know. The top performing faction from this last weekend basically is Black Templar, 17 players, 3.1% meta representation, a 62.8% win rate. They won an event. They top 4'd twice and top 10 to 7 times for a 1.47 overrep. In second by win rate, we have Adeptus Mechanicus, who had 12 players, 2.2% meta representation, a 62.3% win rate. 3 top 4s, 4 top 10s, and a 3.13 overrep, which is basically because they have a very low meta representation. Kinda. We'll see. I mean, 2.2% is pretty high. That's like double what Adeptus Mechanicus was at pre-Codex release. But we'll see if that pans out. Based on the number of people in the Adeptus Mechanicus places turning into piles of salt, probably not likely that continues.
Shout out
It's
to
also
Paul
3
in
top
the stat
4s.
check
Like, it's
Discord.
not like...
It's not like a huge number. That's why I said it's mostly the meta representation. Gene Stealer Cult, I'm going to skip because it's just 5 people. Eldar
They're having
is
the best time.
They have a 57% win rate, but only 1 top 10 and a 0 for overrep because of it. Eldar are in third place with 8.4% meta representation. And it's funny because I just noticed this. They actually have less players than Necrons do, but we'll get into that in a minute. 57% win rate, 2 event wins, 9 top 4s, 14 top 10s for 2.45. Eldar still doing great. Sisters are next at 17 players, 3.1% meta representation, a 57% win rate as well. Also 2 event wins, 3 top 4s, 6 top 10s, and a 2.2. And that's kind of the top 5, basically, if we're not counting Gene Stealer Cult. At the bottom, we have Imperial Knights, who have a 27.5% win rate. No good deed goes unpunished.
So bad. I'm sorry.
Deserved.
With
Should be
With
worse.
the Imperial Knights in the gutter are more knight-themed armies with Dark Angels at a 34.9% win rate.
We got our supplement coming. That'll save us, right? Right?
yeah.
It
They
could
did get a
Totally
top
lose
4.
everything that we currently have in our index, right?
Yes. They did get a top 4, though, and 3 top 10s. So they don't have a 0 for overrep.
Sure.
Grey Knights also in the bottom 5 with a 36% win rate. But they won a GT, which is also their top 4 and their top 10. So they have a 0.89. They're perfectly balanced, guys, at this win rate. I don't know what you're talking about. Astra Militarum at a 38.1% win rate with no placings to speak of. And Drukhari had 8 players this weekend, so normally I wouldn't count them because it's such a small number, but they managed to get 40% win rate and a top 10. And then I guess I should scroll and find Custodes because the Custodes players are all going to be yelling at me about how I didn't talk about them and how terrible they're doing or something. But there were 10 Custodes players, so they just make the cut. They had a 54.4% win rate. They won an event, they top 4'd an event, and they got 2 top 10s. So they have a 1.25 over rep.
To be fair, that top 4 was
Perfectly
also
balanced.
their win.
Yes, it was. It was all
What you're
those
telling
numbers
me
are.
is the Custodians are on the threshold where they actually need nerfs, not buffs.
It's true, actually.
Yes. So
If
actually,
you
in
take
the
the top
balance
cut
slate,
out of what we're looking at right now, you really do need to nerf those factions as well.
I think Custodians should get hit again.
Hilariously,
honestly.
that Custodes win is down in Australia, so people are also just going to dismiss it because Australia meta weird.
To be fair, that is true. I didn't know it was in Australia.
hey Innes, what faction do you think won the most GTs though this weekend?
Eldar.
Nope.
No, it was Orcs. Orcs, 32 players, a 52% win rate, 3 GT wins, which is also their 3 top 4s, 7 top 10s, and a 1.17 over rep. So again, perfectly balanced. Yeah,
Perfectly
great.
balanced.
Oh, I'll also add to this. It not only was an Australian event, but it was my favorite Australian event series. It's the Exterminatus series. This one was Exterminatus 8, Rise of the Noodle.
Good name, good name.
I love it.
They
Is
always
it-
have
is
the
it all
best
gonna be-
names.
Is it all going to be like
this event?
Spaghetti
Also,
Monster?
I want to shout out Alexander the Greek, who was playing Admech to a 4-0-1 finish.
Nice.
You're only calling him Alex the Greek because you can't pronounce his surname.
It's Engelzos, I think.
That's not bad. That's better than I would have done. And then I just wanted to briefly talk about kind of this hidden aspect of Necrons. So if you weren't here before the new year, right after the Necrons book was released, Necrons were kind of at a similar win rate. But if you looked at the detachments, there's something interesting going on that nobody predicted based on the number of list ideas that I see anywhere, which is that Canoptic Court had a 62% win rate going into kind of the holidays. And then this last week, most of the base seems to have discovered that Canoptic Court is good, with 37 out of 53 players playing it and netting themselves a 59.2% win rate. The other ones are Awakened Dynasty with a 20% win rate, Hypercrypt, which is the second most popular, which has a 38.1, and one really person just out to have fun playing Obeisance Phalanx with a 16.7% win rate.
They went
You can't
0-2-1.
make me think that that's a real detachment. That doesn't sound right.
So, unlike the Iron Hand situation, we don't have quite as many people playing other things, but we do still have a glut of people playing Hypercrypt instead of playing the obvious choice of Canoptic Court, probably because it's harder to find Wraiths right now than it is to find like gold in the road.
Well, David's playing Awakened Dynasty at Nottingham this weekend, so it clearly must be terrible because if David's playing it, like, no hope.
I'm not going to say David can't do it, but David would be the exception and not the rule to the performance issues that we're seeing for non-Canoptic Court detachments. So maybe, just maybe, Canoptic Court might be good, and you all should play it so that it gets nerfed, and I never have to see 18 Wraiths ever again on a tabletop ever.
It would be
You're
nice.
muted, Jeremy.
I had the perfect comment, too. It's okay. David still took 18 wraiths.
He did, yes.
Oh my god.
And of course, he decided to make things difficult on himself because 2 of the 6-mans had the exact same war gear, and then 1 6-man has this weird mixed war gear that he's going to have to make sure is very clearly WYSIWYG, or else his opponent might accuse him of using the wrong war gear.
Wait,
Sure.
I bet
David's-
it's actually because some are just built with 3 of one and 3 of the other, and
Guarantee
you
you
have no
that's why.
choice. Because nobody ever considered the fact that they might have to start taking like all of the pistol weapon, I think, initially.
Yep. So the 2 6-mans are all claws and particle casters. And then the one weird one is 2 with or all particle caster. Oh, I get it. One of them has 4 of them have whip coils instead of vicious claws.
Do all the Wraiths have the correct backpacks is always a good question. But
Aw.
really, Wraiths just have little light bulbs instead of backpacks, so we need to make sure you count the light bulbs on that Wraith.
Do they have the correct number of knobbly bits?
Yeah. That's my favorite. But yeah, outside
We
of
love
that,
you, David. We hope you do well this weekend. Just not as well as Innes.
we do.
I hope he goes
Other than that-
exactly the right number of 5 votes as me with a lower OGW. That's what
Oh, no. Yeah, and you can both miss the top cut then.
Yeah, exactly. Missing the top cut's the dream at UKTC event. Let's be real. Not having to play game 6 and 7 is the optimal.
Also,
Unless you think you can win it.
No, even then, it's not worth it.
go win it.
It's not
Innes.
worth spending 5 extra hours in a sweaty gym hall while it gets disassembled around you with nobody watching. It's just
Maybe we need to make our podcast more posh and have David on if he wins.
We could get David on if he wins.
All right, David, if you
if
win,
he's willing to stoop to our level, that is.
that's fair. We aren't
we're
quite
not,
as
we're
posh.
not adding jazz. It cannot be done.
we should find a jazz version
I will make
of
a jazz intro just for having David on.
A jazz version of our intro if David wins Nottingham. I think we could do that.
I mean, I do have the original artist contact information for our current intro, so I could ask him. Can you jazz?
I think
this
we
up?
could make that happen.
I
think we could make that happen.
extra jazzy, or we all do jazz hands the whole time in the background to make it jazzy.
God damn.
All right, David, now you got to win so that we have to do the jazz hands during our theme song. Apparently,
I love it.
With a 20% winner faction as well, that's going to be really tough. You guys are not making it easy for Dave.
jazz bagpipes, says Chris. But the last little thing again that I wanted to talk about real quick is just to poke at Adeptus Mechanicus, who had 12 players and a 62.3. Most of that win rate seems to be coming from the Skitari Hunter cohort, who have a 65.5. Although cohort Cybernetica did go 3-0-0 for an 100% win rate.
They won day 1 and then dropped.
They won day 1 and dropped, so there's that.
He completed it. It was like, that's a TOEP and I'm gone.
Then Data Psalm Conclave, which also just had one
No,
player,
was
who went
4-0.
4-1 and got an 80% win rate.
Dude, details.
So Skitari Hunter cohort is probably the good spot to be there. I don't know. Find 24 Dragoons and put them in your list or something. Or Iron Strider.
It gives you
chassis.
the best. It gives you a detachment roll that actually does something.
Yeah. That works for all your units. And that's it for stats. I don't really have anything else to talk about today. Anthony was back for like 5 seconds and then disappeared.
I'm still here.
All right. Do we want to talk about Nottingham some more then? Maybe we could talk about lists. Maybe Innes could talk about his list.
Oh,
That sounds
I
really
just
complicated.
got back.
Why not
Maybe
we
we should-
talk about last year a little bit?
Sure. Do you want me to pull up the stats for the end of last year?
Yeah, let's pull the stats for like the first block of 9th edition. That's probably the more interesting, or 10th edition.
Oh my god, the first block of 9th edition.
Oh, I thought you were going to make me sad and talk about the end of 9th. That was almost dire.
What's the first block? Let's say the first like
Isn't
that
June
gonna
through July. We'll say through the end of July.
Oh, isn't this just going to be a fucking disaster?
No, do all of 10th edition. Let's just talk about all of 10th edition in last year.
I will do
How
all
is
of
it-
last
how is
year.
it? I wanted
All
to
of
try and
last
pull
year.
out like let's talk about like best events and all that sort of stuff, but let's just wing this. It'll be fine.
I
It'll be
mean,
fine.
yeah, I thought we were really about to be in a world where we were talking about like the first set of
Oh,
stats
fuck.
from 10th, where it was just like
Oh,
80%
no.
Eldar win rate. I was like,
I mean,
okay.
We were going to talk about how Eldar have that many event wins. They have 79.
Yeah, I actually want to. What was the question I asked
81
when we got
if you
the initial
include.
nerf? The question I asked the initial nerf was, do we think anyone else will win 50 events again for the rest of the edition? Because that was how many Eldar had at one point. We were like, do we think anyone will even get close? So has anyone even come close to having 50 additional event wins with an extra 4 months of edition? is my
The
first
closest
question.
is 25 with Chaos Space Marines. They have 25.
Jesus.
That's
So
cool.
just looking at win rate for all of last year, not even giving a fuck about balance slates or whatever, Eldar have a 63.5% win rate and made up basically 10% of the meta, which is the
Yeah,
most
dude.
of this is the most of any faction. They're the most. Unless you shove all of the Space Marine chapters together, then I think you get closer.
Give me
but-
the-
See episode title, I guess.
Give me the tournament wins count.
So Eldar beat in the first year more than Tyranids got in like 2 years by getting 79 event wins already.
And how many tournaments did we track last year?
Oh man.
This is gonna cause me pain. Why would you even ask that?
Okay, so in 10th edition, 258 tournaments.
So yeah, they want to almost
Third.
a little bit, almost a
A little
third of
under a
tournaments.
third. Or yeah, a little under a third.
So the next closest is CSM, who won 25. They won a third of the events that that Eldar won. The next best faction from a win rate at 57.2 is Gene Stealer Cults, who won 17 events and then faded into obscurity for a few generations. Then
They're
it's
just planning.
They're just planning. They've got a plan. Chaos Space Marine. Now we're back into the balance window, by the way. Chaos Space Marines at 55%, with 25 event wins, 82 top fours, 197 top tens. After that, it's Black Templar, who had 6 event wins and a 52.9% win rate. Then it's Thousand Sons at 52.1 with 11 event wins. Then it's Death Watch, then Leagues of Votan. Yeah. And then at the bottom is Drukari, who won 2 events all of last year
Great work, Ridfin.
with a 41 points. I
So-
think Ridvan
Soul
has
Stones
only
is the
one of
better
those
answer.
2 wins. I think Ridvan has only one of those 2.
Yeah, because one of them was, again, Australian event.
Yeah.
It was,
41.7%. Then it's Blood Angels at 41.8. So it's really just factions that Anthony loves at the bottom.
Oh, it's tough.
Don't worry, World Eaters are in a fine spot, right? They had like a 49%
Right in the middle.
win rate.
World Leaders are like right in the middle, basically. yes.
Perfectly average. Thank you, World Leader Play Base.
49.4, just flirting with 50. They also only had 2 event wins, which I think are both Anthony's. I will say this:
No, one
every
is mine.
I was
and
gonna say
I-
one. Cali
Oh,
Cup is
yeah.
his.
I had
so he
the
did win
first in both editions, but not all of them. I was all of them for a much longer span in 9th than I was in 10th. I was all of them for like a while in 9th.
Yeah, you got like a week this edition.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only-
I got. You showed people the way at LGT.
The only good thing I can say about these stats is that every faction won an event. Actually, every faction won at least 2 events over the
Wow.
course of last
Very
year.
nice.
Out of 250,
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
got at least
at
2.
least everyone got.
Everybody got 2.
You know what? I'll take it.
Custodes,
1% of event wins were everyone.
Custodes got 5, so I don't want to hear none of their players complaining.
They
So-
got one of the supers right at the beginning.
Yeah, they won.
What
Tacoma.
happens-
They won like the super major of the early balances shit time.
Yeah,
So-
Two Damage Grenades got second.
Here's
That was
some
awesome.
fun hypotheticals for the next year. Do Eldar hit 100 event wins this year?
In the
Oh,
first
100%.
quarter.
No,
We don't know what's happening in the balance dates, like.
I
I'm
think
okay. Does another faction hit 50
CSM, if they don't get
in the
hit
first
particularly
6
hard.
months?
50? What's
In the-
CSM at now?
25.
They've won most of those since the last.
Ooh,
slate.
yeah.
In the next 6 months, does another faction hit 50?
Actually, they
They
were
can-
winning at the same rate as Eldar, by the way, after the slate.
They can do it if they get the. So the 6 months window is weird, right? Because CSM's on the tail end of the April roadmap or the spring roadmap. So, like in theory, if you let them cook, they might be able to do it. But
Well, so
probably not.
Here's some context.
GSC
In-
could do it if they
in
get
the
a nice
first 6
boost.
months of 2023, when we were still playing 9th edition, there were 180 GTs. Now, I expect that number to go up if only because the game has continued to grow, and the tail end of 9th, no one was really going to events.
I wouldn't
We
be
aren't going to see
surprised.
that same dip that we saw in June of this year.
Yeah.
But in that time last year, it's actually very funny looking at the stats. Who won the most number of GTs in Arcs of Omen? And I guess it was just Arcs of Omen, really. But
T-Sons?
Iron Hands?
no, Space Marines are all one thing.
Space Marines?
Yeah, they won 57 of those tournaments, so a third of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose if we look at just Space Marines for last year, like as one unit.
I don't think there's a way in hell. How many are Space Marines at the moment? Like 20s?
Just give me a second while I sort.
So the funny thing is that last year, it wasn't even Iron Hands that won the most GTs. Iron Hands won
Dark
17
Angels by a
GTs.
bunch.
It was
Oh,
Dark
DA.
Angels.
Yeah.
They're at 28 altogether.
So do Space Marines win 22 more with the current supplement plus whatever they're getting?
I mean, I think
Post-slate?
that CSM can win another 25.
I would also agree with that statement.
It also depends on what the slate does to them,
Well,
because it could
prediction:
be that
do
they then
CSM Marines or a third arm, or CSM Marines or a third army? Which one's most likely to hit 50?
I think I would sooner put money on CSM doing it because that book's a little deeper. I feel like if you take a hammer to like Scouts and Inceptors, a bunch of the Marine builds are like, hey, we weren't actually different.
Well, and also keep in
So-
mind that it would either have to be Space Marines winning 22 more, CSM winning 25 more, or GSC winning 33 more.
It ain't
Or a
gonna be
wild card
GSA.
new faction?
Or a wild card coming out of left field and suddenly, like, dropping a shit sandwich on
They
us.
accidentally buff orcs in the data slate or something and just clown shoes from
Yeah, but Orc players
Ma-
help us with that.
Maybe it's Necrons.
I don't know.
Necrons would need 38 GT wins across 6 months.
I think Necrons can do that. That army's a stat check, and those are really brutal in 30-player events.
That's true. They haven't really been converting it yet, but at the same time, might also just be that it's taking a little while for Necron players to come up with 18 wraiths.
It also the Codex came out during the slowest part of the year, right? From an
Yeah.
event
It
perspective.
was a December release, which almost never happens.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, Sebastian, don't do that. Custodes Codex will be busted. Get another points drop a week after release and win 50 tournaments to
Stop!
WTC.
Stop! No!
Anything to fulfill the John Facey.
Well, see, the funny thing about that is that if you look at 2023, no, it was 2022 in Custodes. That happened with Custodes.
Yeah, with Elvio. So then they did really well at Elvio and then got buffs
Yeah, no, I
immediately
remember that
afterwards. That was when we first started tracking stats, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
That's when you and
predecessor
I
to the
think
show, Fight
were-
Club, kicked off the week after LVO.
God, I
All
hope
I
they
rem-
buff Ionites. I hope they make Ionites just oppressive. It'd be awesome.
Just
I
to
hope
make
they
it look
go.
like
I hope they go
ridiculous.
straight back to how they were at the start of the edition, no notes, so I can continue to have a 90% win rate over that garbage army.
If I hadn't been playing Deathwatch, I'm sure I would have done a lot better, but that was suffering, and I will
I
never
could've-
go back.
I could have played Ionites on a board, like a living room, like table or floor, and put a reasonable expectation of getting at least a 16 into them.
Yeah, with CSM, 100%.
Yeah,
I guess this is a good time to share the entire meta screen real quick as well. Why not? Let's see if I can do this without turning the entire world on fire in the process.
Oh, you're gonna burn
Yeah,
it
it's
all
just-
down. It's fine.
you know, it'd be really funny if we could get a way to show like a through line of like Harleys being considered Eldari and like the release of that codex through 10.
Here we go. I did it! Magic.
Hot Jesus Christ, Eldar! Fuck.
So this is Eldar.
Oh, pain.
Oh my
Oh,
lord, dude!
That
It's
post-slate dip and then them bouncing back again when people realize that the army is still really
hey,
good.
this is busted still. Woo!
Chaos Space Marines have their rise to glory from like the ashes in the beginning.
Actually, no, go Votan.
Yeah, Votan probably do a similar dance.
There it is.
It turns out giving an army 20% too many points is insane.
I think Death Guard though are the
Death Guard had the
true Cinderella story from
That one, like
The
that's
worst.
actually a good kind of highlight of you did it right.
Yeah, that's what that should look like.
Yeah. The problem with Demon Allies notwithstanding, Death Guard are cool.
I mean, even what's the problem with demon allies?
Death Guard
Just-
aren't
they're
Death Guard aren't
stupid.
the biggest offenders when it comes to demon allies because they can only take Nurglings. You don't want to take anything else.
Yeah,
It's true.
My
Imagine if
death is
Nurgle
my-
had a loan up.
Yeah.
honest to God, July was the best. July. What is that? The week of July 4th was the best week of my life.
When Mechanicus were not even present.
Yeah.
And then I guess our falls from grace are Imperial Knights, who may
Oh,
bounce
you know
back a
what?
little bit.
That's
not
actually
the worst
fine. It
one.
landed okay.
Cult
Yeah,
is probably the worst one.
Cults are right there. They're very similar.
Yeah.
They have
Cults
their
dipping
rise
into
and
the
fall.
need buff zone is or out of the need buff
Yeah,
zone
Custodians
into
came close to
the
that too.
eggs.
It's hard to hit some of these buttons. There's a
Like
lot of
after
buttons.
sort of October, because Genestealer cults are the only army that got out of the need buffs into the sadness zone. Like the
Yeah,
only
look at
army
them.
that was there.
Oh,
Fucking
gonna come
poor
back.
army.
I'm telling
I
you.
love it because this is the full week rolling like average, so
Like,
it means that they actually were starting to do better, and then no.
You can almost tell the weeks where Ridvan played the army.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the problem for I think Drukhari is they only have like 1,200 games played, which is Chaos Space Marines have 4,800 games played.
Yeah, their faction was largely abandoned because the only type of people that are actually playing Drukhari units are Eldar players.
Yeah, Eldar has almost 7,200 games played.
That causes me pain. Yeah, I played exactly 2 games of Drukhari this edition. I played them once in pre-WTC prep to be like, oh no, it's not an army. We're good. We don't have to worry about this too much. And then I played them once like a month and some change ago to be like, why is this so bad again? And then I found out why it was so bad again. And that was pretty much it. Though I will say gambling pain tokens is a bunch of fun, but it's not, you're not playing 40k. You're just like, wee, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't.
Can I roll 4-ups?
Yeah, can I roll 4-ups?
That Chronos mechanic is so silly. It's just
Also,
like
did the buff that I apply mean that I got a kill? Huh? No? Oh, okay, that's fine. But sometimes.
it's in there somewhere, Nathan. Just keep looking.
I know I am. I'm looking for Necrons while I'm in here, and I'm like, where the hell is it?
Ooh.
I know, right?
They're under the radar where they belong.
This is Genestealer Cult.
Necrons had a bit of strength early on, so they might be in the top end.
Astra.
You could also just scroll up and unfilter everything. but
Hush,
Necrons.
you.
Or zoom in.
This is way funnier.
This is way more fun, actually. Let's zoom in.
All
All
right.
right.
Since I've got
Enhance.
it open. Oh,
Enhance.
This is Nathan's version of the plugs. It's great.
this is my version of plugs.
There you go.
Oh,
Nathan,
there they
top
are.
left.
I found them.
Now you got to zoom out and hope you keep it.
Yes. There they are. They're
Did
fine.
it?
You know what?
Necrons fine the whole time, basically.
Necron's threading the Necron's looking like a gauze tube. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Necron's playing Pong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
I don't like the I don't like the gradient of that curve at the end there. Just for what it's worth.
Don't worry
This
about it
doesn't
too
have
much. That's
new
just
data yet.
that's like 200 games worth on the
Look.
last weekend of December.
If we are not allowed to be reactionary, why are we even here?
Yes, that's a good point. Here, Chaos Knights also threading that needle the whole time.
Chaos Knights are great. Well designed. Good job. The army's cool.
Where
I
are
prefer
we?
Vic's opinion on that
That's right.
army, but
Nope.
I think like Chaos Knights are fine.
They're sisters,
a lot of
actually.
little dudes. They're fine. They don't even use the big
Sisters.
guys. It's just like playing against another army. And it's like they have 13 units. It's fine. They usually have more units than I do.
Look at World Eaters. Doing just peachy.
That's what World Leaders do, baby.
You
They
can see
do-
again, they were one of the like Death Guard. Slate hit them exactly where they needed to be.
Yeah,
Anthony, when did you start playing them?
don't worry about that.
After the slate is the answer.
You'll notice a mild uptrend starting around whatever the weekend of Cali Cup was.
Which was the first weekend in October, so no.
Yeah.
This is the first weekend of October.
Right in the
No, it was
middle
the first weekend in
there.
November. It was the first weekend in November.
Yeah, but then he didn't really play them after that.
But he did play them at LGT, which was the second to last weekend of September.
He did give
Oh,
everybody
that
the
is true.
one.
Actually.
Fuck, that's the 22nd. That's right when they start going up.
Yep. All right. Entirely Anthony's fault. Anthony, you have to stop playing them for a little while because they might go too high.
That was when the 1975 came out, dude. That's the one is the
Oh.
beginning.
Yeah,
Then
the
the last
1975
one-
is everywhere now.
Yeah.
That's when I'll
Yeah,
click
Tao's
it,
fine.
Up and then down.
Oh, feels like it has too many units still, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I played against Zach Como's Breacher spam list this weekend, and it was very funny.
You should get one Tetra for 80 points and not two. That's all I have to say.
No. They should be in units of 1 to 2. If it's a unit of 1, you get reroll 1s. If it's a unit of 2, you get reroll all hits.
One
But they're
Tetra, 80 points. That's fine.
No, they're 80 points each.
Yeah, and they come in
Red
one.
Room also makes a fair point, which is that Custodies got nerfed and the melee centric army then got better. Which is
Yeah,
probably reasonable.
Those are definitely related.
it's related, but it's not 100% of the case.
I
It's a-
still don't like playing Custodies with CSM, so
Why?
It's not great.
just-
It's still not great.
it's not that it's a bad matchup. It's just unpleasant. I don't like having to deal with it.
Says the CSM player.
What?
It's like,
Probably the least pleasant matchup for every army.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like playing. I don't like playing against Custodies ever, but like,
Custodies isn't fun for a World Eaters player, I don't think.
no, they're just not fun to play against with any army. That
Hmm.
army is a failure of design space on GW's half, but that's a different problem.
Also,
Yeah, it's more
I
of
will
a nice
say
problem as well.
The
people are
Custodians
talking about
should
Rhino.
play like
right now.
Chaos Knights.
Yeah. Infantry-sized Chaos Knights.
That's what they should be. There should be 13
not?
of them, and you should be like, fuck, when you have to engage one of them.
I like it.
14 wounds, 40 mil base.
Okay, so if anybody, if I
Maybe
see
put them on
anybody,
80s, but like,
if anybody at a tournament brings 13 Joy Toy Custodies as an Imperial Knight War Dogs army,
that would be fucking sick.
That would be awesome. I won't lie.
I think
Yeah,
I
right,
think
the
somebody
nerf,
should-
the nerf of the Custodians fight first strat. The problem is the way they did that real wrong because it screwed a lot of armies over.
I don't like being able to do that strat multiple times. Literally does fucking nothing. It doesn't.
No.
matter
The
what that strat
nerf
is.
here was making it free.
Oh,
You
sure.
can't make it
yeah.
free anymore
Yeah, that helps.
because the battle tactic change caused grief for so many other armies.
There's a lot of reasons I don't like that Custodian strat, but like, yeah. Ooh, I don't like that ability.
The 8-bound and a Rhino thing will never not be funny though.
It's
Crisis, you should give up
gone.
3, bring it down each. It'd be funny.
I also printed a file that has an 8-bound that you can put on top of the Rhino opening, and I did print out 2 of them, one for each Rhino.
Did you
that
give
I'm
them to
painting.
Nos?
No, they're for me to play with,
oh.
just to annoy
We
people.
should like commission you to paint one up and send it to Nos.
I will if we want to do that. I'll send one to Nas. Sure, I don't care. Whatever.
Nas will just put it on like his tank commander because he's not playing World Eaters anymore. So
Oh, that's true. I would
Nas didn't
accept him
own that
putting it on.
army. He borrowed it entirely.
I kind of just want him to move it to transport as he plays armies. So maybe I'll just paint just the dude and send it to him.
Yeah, Chimera with an 8-bound coming out of the top.
I'm pretty sure Anthony will be at Alpine Cup Red Room.
I absolutely will.
I'd be disappointed
Yes.
if he wasn't there.
I would also be disappointed if I wasn't there.
If we pair you, Redrum, we'll pair you directly into Anthony. 100%.
No, you won't.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Promise.
Who does pairings for this?
If I have to play Custodians,
Everybody but
again,
Anthony.
yeah.
There you go.
If I have to play Custodians again in Alpine, I'm pissed. That happened last year. I had to play Shadow Keepers last year. I was like, what the
Oh no!
You won, didn't you?
Yeah, but that's not important.
That's not the point.
He
It's
had
the
to suffer.
principle
That's the
of
important
thing.
part.
The guy
outcome
was
isn't
so scared
important.
of Anthony's aura that he just lost the game because he was scared of engaging Anthony.
No, that actually happened. The dude was like, I thought this was a bad matchup, so I just stayed in my table quarter. And I was like, yes, a bad matchup.
So what you're saying is
Indeed.
Anthony just plays 5 rounds against Custodies.
Yeah.
No.
We'll make Anthony play a practice game against Custodies on the Friday night. It'll be great.
No, I just won't. I don't. This make Anthony do things line is terrible for everyone involved. We'll just start down 20 points by the second Custodies pairing because I'll just be like, I don't know what happened. It got crazy.
All right, Innes, do you want to do plugs? And then we'll just
No,
do
but
show
I will
questions
do
'cause
them.
We have a ton of them.
Oh, do we? We built up 3 weeks worth. Okay.
Well, there's like a bunch of that are going to require us all to talk about stuff.
Talk for 2 minutes while I jot down a list of the things I need to talk about.
Did the
Anthony,
bugs change?
people keep asking about the World Eater mirror, so I just want you to talk about it again in this one brief segment.
Oh, okay. You take the fight on death blessing, and then you pray. That's it. That's the whole thing. It should be more involved than that, but assuming you're like on equal skill levels in the fight phase, which if you aren't, then all right, you won.
So
Yeah.
roll gooder.
Yeah, then fight on death mortar. You can also put Karn in the 5-man in this matchup. That's all I got.
I will say that you should watch Anthony play some World Eaters, because I watched Anthony play David for the team thing.
Oh, I played that
And
game
I
badly.
know, but you were walking through it and you were like explaining all the combat movement stuff, and I was actually having a really good time about that.
Oh, cool.
That's all.
Nice.
Yeah.
I made a lot of mistakes that game. It was super funny because I would say out loud, like, I should do this, and then I would just not, and then like go to the next thing that I was doing, and then I'd come back to it later and then get immediately punished for not having done that thing, and I'd be like, right, that part of the board that went out of my line of sight because I moved the camera and forgot about. Nice.
In my game against Jeremy, I had a 5-inch charge into 2 things that I could kill with Karn and some berserkers, and a 7-inch charge if I could also hit the Wayleaper. Now I was like talking myself into the 7-inch charge so bad, and then rolled a 5, and it was like,
The only thing that matters in the Eldar game is not what you kill. It is just that you take their unit count and make it lower. And I mean that earnestly. It literally does not matter at all. Like, you could kill a swooping hawk squad with Angron. Sick. Less Eldar on the board.
Yep.
it was a great game, and I learned a lot. But it was really funny watching Jeremy just be very quiet, and then like watching me roll a 5 and being like, "That was great, bye."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oops, doodles."
My poor opponent this round, I killed Fuegan on Overwatch with Dev Sense, and then he didn't stand back up. Just like
I got a better one for you in that game
Please
against Nathan. Fuegan lived through Karn fighting on death.
I'm already
after
mad.
Fuegan had killed him. He lived through how many total? It was like 5 Exalted 8-bound activations.
Mm-hmm.
Like individual models. And then Angron walked up and said, "This is how it's done," and just one attack killed him.
And he did pop right back up,
and then he did stand back up and go steal your home objective the next turn. But yeah, details.
He did. Yes.
I was really hoping the end of that was, and then he popped back up and did 12 damage to Angron, but
he did fail the initial save, and I had a 6 showing, and he was like, "No, that's the CP reroll because you could. I'm not making myself roll 12 Feel No Pains on Angron." No, Angron died to a Night Spinner.
It was sustained Night Spinner fire.
Of course he did.
It did take 3 Night Spinners.
Yeah. There's no data sheet, I think, at this point that I hold more contempt for than the Spinner.
Yeah. I played 3 of them and I felt dirty, and it also felt really, really good.
Yeah,
they're smash them with hammers.
It's crazy that they have dev wounds to me still. Like the Twin Linked actually doesn't bother me that much.
The Twin Link bothers me because of the dev wounds.
Yeah, but in general, right? It's just like, okay, you have Twin Link. That's stupid, but whatever. The dev wound thing really tilts me.
They
just in new and exciting ways every time they activate.
I love if they were going to fix the spinner, just remove dev wounds if they want to keep it as a utility piece, or remove the minus to move and keep the dev wounds.
It should be managed to move as in charge like every other one of those platforms.
That's a bigger issue with them just not being consistent with how all those things get applied.
It should both lose dev wounds and be changed to -2 move advance charge.
The fact that some people sometimes, I was speaking to a client today and was like, yeah, so the Librarian Dreadnought, my toughness 10 2-up save model with 8 wounds is a liability in the other matchup because it just dies to Night Spinners. Like one Night Spinner sometimes just one-shots it. And I'm like, how is that a remotely reasonable
Yep.
statement?
Yeah, that feels good. That,
We had a local league game that was resolved exactly like that. It was Eldar into Blood Angels. The other player was a little worried about the Blood Angels, and then we pointed out to him that he had a Libby Dread that could die turn 1 to Night Spinners in the in card, and then ends up in his backfield. And the Eldar player did exactly that turn 1. The Dark Angels or the Blood
so
Angels player
stupid.
back line so that nothing could get into him, and then lost the Librarian Dread turn 1 and couldn't engage on the rest of the board now because everything was in his corner.
yeah,
Because he was just relying on throwing units out every turn.
I fucking hate that. I hate that a lot.
Yeah,
And
it's dumb.
makes
It shouldn't
me-
happen. It shouldn't work.
Yeah. I every time I
You
look
should
at that
also
Eldar
make
index,
it's bad. I mean,
Can we talk about War
it's
Spiders
bad
having
for
dev
us.
wounds as well? That's also stupid.
look, that one's dumb, but I'm just happy they didn't make it to live with Twin Linked.
Yeah, Paint Celestine, also great name by the way. Does point out as well is that for some reason the Falcons fire support rule is better than every other fire support rule
Yeah.
because it works
Yeah.
until the end of the turn instead of the end of the shooting phase.
Honestly, I would be down with them buffing like the Land Fort and the Razorback to have that version because it's weird that it's just shooting. So whatever, but
The Immolator with that would be super fun.
sure. But that would be a cool thing for Sisters Melee, and that's fine because Arcoflagellants wouldn't benefit at all, and the rest of it's just cool. So I don't see the problem with that.
Perpetua
Yeah.
wouldn't benefit either, so I guess it's just
All right.
Battle Sisters in combat.
Yeah, and Zephyrin would gain nothing from it. So cool. Make the Immolator have that. That's fine by me.
Do the plugs in us.
Okay, I have a list of the plugs. The first one is, hey, thank you all for being with us and enjoying the show. I hope you're enjoying the show. There are 88 people watching right now, which is awesome for our first show back for the year. So thank you for being here. If you'd like to catch more StatCheck, youtube.com/StatCheck is the place to go for that. You can see all of our back episodes, all of the bonus content that we did in the past, also all of the other shows on the network, which I'll be shouting out more in their own separate section in a little bit. If you'd like to support the channel a little bit more, there's a few ways you can do that. If you're watching on the live stream, which is every week at youtube.com/StatCheck, you can chuck us a super chat, in which case we'll definitely make sure we answer your question on the stream if you have one. If you just want to launder some money through us, that's completely fine too. We will take the tax break. Otherwise, check out our Patreon, which is patreon.com/StatCheck. $5 a month gets you access to our awesome community where we are talking about all kinds of things like combining magic with hating yourself and 40k with magic and all of the things that can come combined from that sort of things. That was today's conversation. We're also talking about how to replace Elfio on your calendar with a bunch of other cool events. Or you could take part in our Vibe Check League, which is coming up to a close. We're just finishing up the fifth round of the team event, and we should be starting up our new event for everybody in the Data Slate season. So if you want to get involved with that, then do check that out. We should be starting that up sometime next month. We had $1,000 Canadian prize pool for this one. We should be expecting to have about the same 500 for the next one as well. So if that's something that interests you, do come and check that out. That is provided to us by our wonderful sponsors at Red Dragon, red-dragon.ca, who can provide, you can get a 20% discount code if you come through the StatCheck Patreon, or you can just check out their awesome website. They deliver internationally for all kinds of things, 40k, other board games, pretty sure they do magic cards, all that kind of stuff. You can also find our merch there, stuff like the dice and objective markers, as well as the new mats, which are super awesome. And a bunch of people have been sending us pictures of those, and frankly, they're super cool. And I really, really need to get my hands on like 5. And I need to speak to Dan and make that happen because they're so cool and they have our logo on them, and that makes everything better. More stuff that has our logo on it. Check out Wayland Yutani. You can check them out. You can use our code StatCheck5 to get 5% off on your orders there. They're the guys that provide all the WC terrain. You can also get GW terrain, a bunch of other stuff like that. They are a Europe-based company, so if you're looking for getting some StatCheck stuff that's a little more local for you, do check that out. But they do, again, deliver internationally. And you can check out Saltar Games on Etsy. They make a bunch of stuff for us, like objective tokens and deep strike gauges, measuring gauges, all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure they have a web store coming up soon, which I will be updating the link for in that when we have that sorted, but that should be coming in the next few weeks or so. Actual stat check things, you can check out our other 2 shows, Enter the Matrix and XM1. Enter the Matrix is our show that's all about team events and doing better at the very, very top end of 40k, going through matrices and team events and, really prepping yourself for stuff like WTC or Alpine Cup or any of those other events that you hear us talking about all the time because, frankly, we love them. XM1 is the other show that which is produced by StatCheck, which is the show all about being better at 40k while also having other life commitments. That show, because of those other life commitments, is going to be going to a monthly basis until at least after WDC. So Tim and Cliff will be doing a monthly show from now on instead of every other 2 weeks. But fear not, there is going to be a replacement in the calendar, which we will be announcing in the next few weeks. We have a new show coming to StatCheck, which you should expect to hear news about in February after LVO. So if you want to hear even more awesome stuff from some minds that have been, around the community for long enough that we have a ton of respect for them, we'll be bringing some new people on board to talk all sorts of stat-related crap. Lastly, stat-check.com is the website that you can go to find all of our stuff, whether you're looking for the ELO, the CRS, all that kind of stuff, or you're looking for coaching from either myself or Typhus. Stat-check.com. Why can I not say that today? Stat-check.com/coaching is your place to be for all that kind of stuff, or drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com.
It was just
Thank you
going
so
to
much.
Melinus.
I know, I was really worried. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the plugs. I really appreciate it. It's a painful time of week for me every week. I hope it's the same for you, but that you can get something out of it. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us again. We're going to go now into the show questions. As I said, if you are in the YouTube chat right now, chuck us a super chat if you want to make it. If you want to guarantee you get asked, otherwise leave it there and we'll get to it if we have time. Otherwise, show questions channel in our Discord, which you can access if you are a patron, is the place to be. Let's roll on. I've not even looked at these this week. I didn't know there were loads. I'm now worried. Nathan, take us away.
We should change the StatCheck website coaching link to be like stat-check.com/purple burglar alarm or something awful for Ennis to pronounce.
I can say purple burglar alarm. It's
fine with that one.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of Scottish accent. I'm sorry.
For some reason, Ennis is fine with that and not just stat-check.com.
He can't. Never mind. Don't change it. Just leave it how it is.
We've already found Ennis's weakness. We don't need to make it.
I'm gonna have to start saying hyphen instead, like some kind of.
All right, Ennis.
All right.
Before we start questions, say the line that I just put in our backstage chat.
God, this is going to be awful. Is this going to make any sense, or are you just throwing words together? It's a broad bricht munlich nicht de nicht.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. All right, let's kick it off.
Show questions. Like Ennis said, if you want to ask questions, you can either send us a super chat or you can put them in the Patreon Discord where we are going to grab them. If I don't see them when I scroll through later, you won't get your question answered. Or if I get tired, we won't answer your question. Or if I hate your question in the Patreon Discord, we also might not answer it.
Or if Ennis has to go to bed.
That, yeah, as well.
That one's never happened, but yeah, it could.
It hasn't, but it could.
It could. Some of these are pretty long, so we're going to do our best. Adam Parmenter has the first question, which is tips for first-time teams at ITT.
If you play against a team that you know has a lot more experience than you, embrace some coin flips and watch them sweat.
That's the team. That's the other team's Scotland strategy.
Shuffle your cards and lay them out in front and say, pick your poison.
No. Literally just no. Yeah, that's not right. Literally just look for mirrors and coin flips where you could be like, if I go first and play on the line, you lose.
Volatility is your friend when you're not favored. That applies to teams. It applies to singles. If you are not as good as your opponent, try some stuff, and you don't have them to lose.
Get in there and get weird, kids.
Typhus asks, if you were a main character from the last movie you watched, how fucked would you be?
What is the last movie I watched? The last movie I watched was Dracula Untold, I think. It wouldn't be good, but I would just do the same thing he did, so it'd be all right.
I would definitely die in a Winter Soldier.
So I guess the last show, I'm currently rewatching The Expanse, so I guess I'd be James Holden. I would be so fucked.
Man, if we're going with shows, I was watching a 90s documentary. That would be very strange.
I mean, that would be super easy.
Just live it again. It'd be fine.
No, just being a man with 2024 knowledge in the 90s is fucking jokes.
Truth. I would buy so much cryptocurrency to sell right away.
Fuck cryptocurrency. You buy Amazon stock and just be done.
All right, and then the next person is Kyle N, who says, do the stats back up the Art of War tier list, which is this?
Oh, we're doing one of these. It's going to be one of these episodes.
It got real pixelated on my screen. I'm glad it looks a little better on the stream.
I mean, you can tell what these are. This is fun.
Yeah, you can at least tell what these are.
Well, they actually used the codex icons instead of their, oh God, whatever those were. So thank you, Quentin.
Yes.
I don't know. I like the old way. It was funnier.
I like not being able to
looks-
tell what any of the factions were. Yeah.
This one looks fine.
I think Votan are
Votan
too
are a little
low.
low.
I think Death Guard are too high. I think Guard is too low. That's probably about it.
I can move a bunch of stuff a tier up or a tier down, but I don't disagree with anything like.
The most
Super
egregious one is definitely Votan.
Yes,
Yeah,
Votan
there's no
should
way
definitely
Votan
be
are
like
that low.
top half of orange, but it's not like super trolling if you're not a huge fan of them.
Tau are probably also higher, but
No, I think Tau's fine where they are. Tau are very good. They're just not fucking converting.
I mean, this looks mostly fine to me. Like you guys, it might shift one or two things like around, but it's like fine.
Yeah.
Their labels make me really confused sometimes because one just says pointy headgear, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, true, fair.
I would still
Demons-
also have Eldar over CSM, but
Demons are also literally Death Guard hand-me-downs. Like, they go in that box. Like, that's what their job is.
yeah, they're not a real army anymore.
Yeah.
they're a Bellicor datasheet and a dream, and Godspeed for that. but-
Yeah, and that dream is a nightmare.
I'm gonna
I'm
stop
really
sharing
curious to
that
see
now.
how they're gonna address their balance without
They
like
need to
completely.
We just talked about this a bunch actually in like Team USA. They need to Death Guard them because you can't point fuck them too much because they're
yeah, you
Unless
gotta
you
give them
unless you change their ally rules.
you gotta just give like
Mhm.
every god ruler, every god a buff to the data sheets. Just like, hey, if you're playing pure demons, Corn stuff gets this, Zine stuff gets this, blah 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 down the line.
So it
Or
makes
like
the
whichever
data
one your
sheets
warlord is, or something like that.
makes the data sheets
Yeah.
better without actually making
Yeah,
them better as
exactly.
allies. Yeah, that could work as well.
Exactly. But that's what
Next-
the attachments are going to do. 99% chance. So
Yeah. The next question is from Nas, who asks, "Just one Rhino Bruv is Nas's new fucking name. It's if you could be any Primarch, why would it always be Sanguinius?"
he had it pretty rough.
isn't he dead?
Yes, it wouldn't be Sanguinius. I would pick Gilliman because Gilliman had his own little freaking empire that he ran, and that's it.
I don't know about
pick that
Gilliman.
one.
Definitely would not pick Gilliman.
I'd rather be one of the ones that was always alive rather than the ones that like died a bunch. Choose the lion because he was like just sleeping, not actively dead.
It's
Who would
reasonable.
I pick?
All the Chaos ones are terrible. Like they're all bad.
Whoa!
Like
Whoa!
Angron's only good experience was when the psychic engine blew up and he experienced like 5 seconds of bliss and then was plopped back onto a planet to murder things.
Yeah,
That's when Anthony wins a GT.
that's oof. Hitting close to home today.
We're just going to go to the next question because no answer will beat that one.
Yep.
Truman asks, my brother and I have been playing the game for 20 years together and he's finally going to his first RTT, usually casual and crusade vibes. What's your advice for helping him see the joy in tournament play and expectation setting during a day he'll likely go 0-3? I want him to go to more events in the future.
Did you just call your brother shit?
Very politely, yes.
Do you
It's a-
often go 0-3 person asking this question? Like, what's the dynamic like between when you and your brother play? I feel like it's hard to set expectation without knowing, right?
I
Like,
think getting him to focus on the tournament experience itself, meeting new people, making new friends, just rolling dice together with people that you don't normally play is what you're going to want to have him focus on, and not ask him, hey, did you win that game? But rather, hey, what did you like about that game? What did you find enjoyable? Give me, like, by having him reinforce good memories about the day, regardless of whether he went 0-3 or 3-3. Sorry, 3-0.
looks like it's not trending well, whatever it is.
One of the really fun things about event play is, compared to casual play, is that you get to go into the game with everybody having the same expectations. And if you're somebody that doesn't have a ton of experience with that, or you're used to playing with like a very closed friend group, going in and being like, we don't have to have that pre-game conversation of like, what are you playing with? What are you doing? And you don't have that sort of level of imbalance. You go in and you're like, hey, I might just be playing the cool stuff. And also, by the time that he's lost 1 or 2 games, if he does, he will be playing somebody else who has also lost 1 or 2 games and will have the same level of understanding and expectation. So unless he is truly terrible, which frankly is unlikely, if so he's been playing for 20 years, like there's some level of heuristics in there. He'll just focus on the like meeting people, playing games, and just getting to play the game, like focusing on playing Warhammer for what Warhammer is, not for the stuff that you can add around it. Because as a pure game, like there's a ton of joy to be found in 40K.
Yeah, go get a cool lunch too while you're there. Like, make it a positive experience.
It's one of the best parts of WTC.
100%. Ben asks, what's on your food or food place to try bucket list? For me, I just want to go to a 3-star Michelin, like a 3 Michelin star restaurant. And there's one in Chicago that I'm going to try to go to in June after I get my promotion at work. There, that's mine.
I don't think I have anything too crazy offhand. Oh, the beef case.
There you go. You have to buy the beef case itself, though. Like the briefcase.
I mean, if they let me keep it, I will. Like, I don't.
Yeah, they need to take it for their pairings cards at WTC. They're just going to open up the briefcase, pull out their pairings cards.
Hope they clean
Also,
it.
Tim's in there.
Yeah. No, it will not be cleaned.
All right. The next question is from Dan F, who says, how many pounds of Butterfingers remain?
I have one full box left, like one full 36 pack. I think we went through 72 in 3 weeks. And then I gave 36
Very powerful.
There might be more left in the house. Like there might be a box of like 15 or something somewhere, but we've not really been refilling it because we've not been refilling the top that we were putting them into because all the Christmas sweets are in there now. So it's just been like the Butterfingers have dropped in the priority list. They're no longer novel. I don't think I've had a Butterfinger in like 2 weeks. So
what you're saying is he needs to send you more.
No, there's a full box of 36 in my cupboard that I'm like every day I wake up and I can just see a box of Butterfingers. And I'm like, we're working to not be eaten, to not eat you every day. It's my challenge to myself.
The next question is from Sean Gin Juice.
I'm just skipping AJ, you rude git.
Yeah, you skipped over AJ.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry, I missed it. That's my fault. AJ says, what is the preferred terrain setups and why? I'm sorry, AJ.
WTC or GW. I find they're both fine.
Same.
Either is fine. I prefer WTC, but GW works.
Yeah.
I actually play like 90% of my games on WTC layouts now. I don't know.
You can guess.
Yeah, like all
GKTC.
my local games are played on WTC terrain, but like this weekend I'm going to a GW event and I'm perfectly happy with that. UKTC, I have played one game on it since 10th came out, and
It's funny because I do prefer WTC boards, but the feeling of like taking the training weights off Angron's fucking speed machine when I go back to GW boards is pretty wild. Like he is a lot faster when you can just be like way over the ruins.
Playing Ball Predators on WTC boards and then on GW boards was a very different experience.
Yes.
There's
Like,
definitely a
what do you
point
mean
where
I
you're
can hide
doing-
and move?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just doing some wild turning math with Angron on fucking WTC maps, and it's very silly.
Trying
I
to
do
get his
definitely
wings to
prefer
fit
my
between
Sagittars
buildings.
on GW boards because they fit perfectly in every single little spot that's available where the ruins aren't.
All right, now
I do a
we're
lot
on
of this
Sean.
hand motion when I play with Angron on WTC boards. I'm doing a lot of like he's gonna go like over there. Like
All
He'll
right.
make it, I promise.
Sean,
Just drop
what we
two
got?
off his movement anytime you move in between ruins and you're fine.
honestly, yeah, like
Your opponent across the table from you has a Calidus in his list. When you go to deploy, he opens a box that contains one 32mm base infantry model from every faction and places down the one appropriate for your army. Are you giving this guy a high five, or are you reporting him to the TO for modeling for advantage because the Calidus?
if you report him to the TO for modeling for advantage, you deserve to get beat up.
I'm taking
would
the metal
say-
one to Nottingham, so
I would say if somebody opened up a beef case and just pulled out the appropriate model,
You
then
know
I
what?
would be
If
pretty
they actually
jazzed
open up a
about the
box and there's like 21 different models in there to reflect what you're playing against, to show like the polymorphin, whatever it's called that she has, I think
Mhm.
that's actually really cool.
if they don't match my Space Marine chapter's color scheme, I'm reporting them. If they
Okay,
do, they're
26 of them then.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
All right.
No. The trick, Anthony, is you do a tech ring because they're all red.
There you go.
They can do a librarian too. They're all blue.
Exactly.
Only they can't do black
Apothecary.
You
Templars.
just got to be clever about it.
You can do an apothecary.
But if you
right?
just got a tactical marine that's
No,
like
'cause you can't do
Ultramarines
Space
color and I'm
Wolves.
playing Dark Angels, F you.
No one should play Space Wolves.
That's a good point.
All right. Brendan
If their
asked-
Calidus has a drilled butthole, it's fine. If they're playing
Ah!
Space Wolves.
Oh, come on, Innes. Get out of here.
Furry Innis arrives on camera for everybody.
Brendan asks, with the data slate coming up soon, what's the one change you want to see made in the slate?
Data slate every 3 weeks.
Legends Eldar.
No.
Just like the whole thing.
Serious answer, fix indirect.
My serious answer is make it so that the Incarn can't charge after teleporting.
Replace Battle Host with just a detachment with no rules at all, no stratagems, no enhancements. It's just
It
you
would
get
still-
the data sheets, and that's
It would
it.
still win like
It would still be like a 50% win
of
rate if
its
they changed
games.
nothing
You
else.
get data sheets and fate dice, and that's it. That's all Eldar get. It'd still be fine. That's the problem.
Yes. All right. Next question's from Nikki D.
I like that we're just not answering that for just anyway.
I answered it for real.
I gave a real answer.
I did too.
I think Anthony
Ang
you're the
brought
one who
up
said
150
Legends
points.
I just want to see the 1975 point list increased by 25 points on the Berserker Glaive. just
No.
by itself.
I want to see it go up 30 points just to see what happens.
Why?
Because I like chaos. Just
That's
not that
not
kind of
even-
chaos.
No, I was like going to say apparently you don't though.
That's also not even particularly chaotic. That's just like, oh man, I got nerfed. I gotta change some stuff now. Like,
All
If
right.
your pet were to play 40k, what faction would best represent their personality?
oh, Pickles would play Custodes.
Fergus would play Nids.
Those of you that know my cat will understand that reference. The rest of you, unlucky.
Logan is 100% a Emperor's Children player.
The only model that one of my cats has tried to steal is a Tau Empire Commander, so I'm going to say Tau because that's the only model that they've stolen so far.
Yeah.
All Fergus cares about is food and his mother. Tyranids.
Space Wolves.
Space Wolves. That changes the relationship with Russ a lot.
Daddy never came back.
All we got is mom.
All right. Frank asks, what are some of the first things you do to your list after reviewing a balanced data slate? And then second part is, do you immediately try to jam in any new hotness, or do you just tweak what you're comfortable with and then go from there?
I see if it's legal, and if it is, I play it again. And
Yeah.
if it sucks now, I'm sad. And I have a lot of practice with this from Drukari.
Write
I'm like-
500 new lists and change them all.
Don't do that. That Innis is really good at Warhammer. That is terrible advice. Don't do that.
A select few of the population can do that, and this is one of them.
Look, I just
Specifically,
pick
don't
every
give-
faction I own, write a list for every model in my army that changed, be like, which one looks best, and play that.
Specifically, you're not allowed to give that advice to Frank.
In all seriousness, what I'll generally do is I'll look at the faction that I'm currently playing. If I want to stick with that faction, first I'll evaluate, did it get hit too hard, which can be difficult to figure out at first. I ran into that problem with AdMech at the tail end of their 9th edition run when the slate hit them, and we got Thick City out of it of Drukari, and AdMech just got punted into the sun. I ran them for 2 more events and immediately realized it was a bad idea. And so don't do that, but at least look at it. Is similar to what Anthony said, does your current list still work? Is it functional? Does it have to change substantially? Like, for example, I joke about the 1975 list going up 30 points. That list probably still functions with some minor tweaks. It's just not going to be as, it's obviously not going to be as good, but it's a question of, did the stuff that hunted you above also get worse?
There's just
Then
like
you're
solo
probably
master
fine.
of executions with the berserk with the favored.
He would be a lot less good by himself.
It would be a
Oh,
lot
with
worse.
favorite instead of the Juggernaut? I will, but I'm not going to be happy about it. That enhancement works in reserves, but like,
Not in a transport.
no, he's just going to be in reserves till turn 3, and I'm going to hope Angron dies before then. I'm just going to be like, when he eventually shows up, he's going to just be like, hey guys, and just like in a corner.
Maybe drops a homers.
But yeah, just basically, I will usually try to make small tweaks to what is currently working, because that usually has been the product of like 50 or 60 games with the faction. Unless they've done something and like completely taken my list out back, like what happened with Deathwing, where I was only running 20 Terminators, but those 20 Terminators immediately became so worthless to me.
Yeah, that was a time.
It was a tough change.
Yeah, that was certainly one of the adjustments Games Workshop has made.
It might
Yeah.
be the single biggest like individual like nerf to a data sheet that we've ever. That wasn't like an army change, like just getting maybe
whatever the fuck they did to Levy between release and where it landed.
Yeah, but that was
Probably-
done in
that
so
was like
many
5
iterations.
changes. For the individual one of Deathwing Terminators just lose that rule might be the biggest individual one, given that they were toughness 4 at the time.
I guess.
Yeah. Especially since they kept the can't fall back side of their rule.
Yeah.
The overrun change in Hive Targets might be the biggest one.
Yeah. But yeah, it's basically like, did your army get invalidated? Yes. Okay, maybe you start from scratch. No? Small tweaks. Play with it a little bit. Don't change too much. Play into some of the newer armies that are coming out. See where you go.
Frank, just list Spiral. It's fine. I promise.
The Nas's question, because he has another one, is when will Jeremy get the nickname Papa Grudge? And I changed
Right
his
now.
nickname to Papa Grudge while they waxed philosophic about that. So I don't know if
The
it's
answer, the strict answer to that is I will actually, I don't know, maybe attend an event with that as my nickname if I win the UTC finals this weekend.
Let's go.
nice. I like it. Jake B asks, how would you each fill the time in an 8-hour road trip carpool to a 40K tournament?
Depends on where the tournament is and who I'm with.
8 hours? Am I traveling with someone?
Your
It's
carpool.
a carpool, so probably am. Quite simply, we are going to be reading through the lists of everyone in attendance and
That's
figuring out who we're going to get our asses kicked by.
I think the last time I carpooled with somebody was with Anthony. That was the last time I carpooled an extensive period of time to get to an event.
Oh yeah. I forget that whole 2-week window happened. Way
and
more
all
often than I'm proud of.
All I did was take an edible and sleep.
Yo, that shit.
Perfect.
Oh, Brandon. Oh,
except for the part where we got pulled over. No.
Guys, we're in joke spiraling.
Sorry.
I
All
tend
right,
to
all right.
alternate between interacting with human beings and introverting out on my phone, playing Snap or reading a book, depending on whether I'm in the front or back. Sometimes in the front as well, though. Yeah, 100%. Look,
Chris is just here going, and he's like, I can answer this question for Innis in real time.
I am an introvert. 8 hours of social interaction is my personal.
It's a lot.
It's my personal hell. Not gonna lie. If it's if I'm in the back and there's interacting, nap occasionally. If we're going to a team event, matrices. Everybody does matrices.
I think in most situations you're alternating through a few different activities because 8 hours is a long time.
That was fucking funny, man. That was good. Good job, Chris.
Mm-hmm. All right, Simon has the next question, which is, what would the most obnoxious list for Kevin Zollinger to be hiding in the German championships? How much
Okay, so
actual
what happened
advantage?
here is there was a GT this past weekend, the Vienna Tabletop Championship, which was won by Kevin Zollinger, who he's been doing exceptionally well for the last God knows how long.
It sucks that he's good because he's also good looking. It's the worst.
He is. And he's pleasant.
Yeah, and he's nice. It really blows.
Terrible that he's a good person and good at 40K.
Yeah, it really sucks. I hate when
I can't get
people
mad
are
at him.
around. Yeah, what the fuck? You can't have all the things. It's not okay.
But anyway, so what happened this weekend was he won the Vienna Tabletop Championship, but his list was not in BCP at all. The TO had basically scrubbed the list from the event, and also he was apparently playing what he's been playing for a while, which is Black Templar's Ironstorm, but he's listed as playing Orc. So this came out when Meta Monday did their article. Whenever I see something like this where someone has had their list edited, I reach out to people who have been at the tournament or the TO and be like, what did they actually run, just so I can make sure the stats are right. And so it just led to some discussion about is it appropriate to hide lists leading into an event like this? Should a player be given that kind of freedom? And it's nothing new. So long as the players at the event had access to his list, I see no issue with this. We don't like it.
There's been events where there's been redacted for Team America and redacted for Team England and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say we had the same thing with Eric Forsman's GSC list at 3 weeks before WTC, where his list was actually in BCP for the weekend and then was removed the minute that the event was over, which is perfectly fine.
I think it's fine, but it's also how much for a GT level thing. I just don't understand how much advantage you're getting for the German championships out of your list being
Do you know what?
in the wild.
I think
for
it's
like a week.
hilarious. Go for it, Kevin. The funniest thing for him to be hiding would be that he's just playing the same list as he's always been playing. That would be the best. He's just doing it for the absolute to just like he's got a teammate like Andreas Gerschlager or something like that that's going as well. That's got like the wildest stuff, but Kevin is drawing all the attention and playing the same thing anyway. So that Andreas nobody looks at him. I hope that's OD, but that's what's happening.
That would be very
that would be
funny.
the best.
And do you think there is a tangible advantage to doing that?
It doesn't
No.
matter.
There is.
Right.
What? There just is. Like, there's no circumstance.
I don't think there is.
of-
I think he's actually at a disadvantage if he hid his list and attended an event the week before, because then everyone who is at that event who is friends with people that he played can then say, how did he play his list?
Yeah, but if the lists lock are aligned such that like list reveal for one is before the other, it is only an advantage. Like
I
it's
think
not.
that
it
the
will
list-
hurt
I
you
think
not
that the
to-
list locks were the same day.
I don't think it helps much, but it helps a small amount. It's funny. Why not?
Marshall asks, what was your favorite egg of the holiday break?
Eggnog, alcoholic.
I actually strangely didn't have like any egg, like actual egg foods over the weekend, over like the holiday break. The closest I got was fruitcake that my dad makes, which has eggs in it. I
had
guess
eggs,
to help bind it together.
steak, chips, and egg, which was pretty solid.
Yeah. No, the egg wash that goes on bread. That's the closest thing to eggs that I've eaten this last 3 weeks.
More funny was the
I'm
meal I
hesitant to
had.
count that.
More funny was the meal that I had with my wife's parents, where we had tater tot hot dish and green bean casserole at the same meal.
That's some
is
Midwest
just-
shit,
I
dog.
was just gonna say, you are so Midwest right now.
That was very. I was looking at it and I was like, I haven't had 2 casseroles and a meal at the same time for a long time. And if for people not in the Midwest, just Google tater tot hot dish and you'll figure out what that is real quick.
You might be sad once you're
I'm
done.
choosing to believe it's like a lasagna, but the layers are like tater tots instead of like pasta or something like that.
Tater tots and
Kinda.
freedom.
Basically, yes.
American
the
freedom. Overly
Not that you're
processed and
freedom.
somewhat under delivered.
You're not wrong.
No, it's a
Jason
Team
said-
Canada list.
Oh! Damn. All right.
You want to scrim us then?
No prisoners taken from Innis, apparently.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Jason asks, what, if any, goals have you set yourself for 2024? So everybody is supposed to answer this question, apparently.
I'd like to not die at a tournament again this week, so I've been trying to take better care of myself. That's about it.
Dude, WCW was tough for the boys. Our hotel room was just having a struggle.
Yeah, I'd like to not spend 3 or 4 months of the year sick with respiratory diseases. But on the 40K side, I would like to play for Team Canada and for Team Canada to win more rounds than we draw.
Lofty.
Good goals. Oh, dang. Anthony, what are your goals for 2024?
Isn't it just win WTC?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
it's
was gonna say
just
it's win WTC with Team America. There's no question there.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of them. I would like to get first at every team event I attend for the year. That would be my and that is like very doable given the roster of
So that's
absolute
what?
nonsense we've
Pyra,
assembled.
Pyra, Eurotrash, Alpine, WTC,
Champions
and
Cup.
then
Champions Cup.
Champions Cup.
The roster for Champions Cup is dumb.
Oh, I gotta talk to Rose Fighter.
Yes, you do.
Nice.
Yeah. Just if I win all of those, I think I retire. Like I think that's it. I think we did it. I think we won. Like I just
completed everything.
and then walk out.
I don't know, the motto for this year is like hobby and health.
Anthony, you
essentially.
can't. We have to do 3 Alpines.
That's
Oh,
true.
that's true. And I also really want a back-to-back WTC because it's never been done, or it's been done once.
There you go. It's goals.
Yeah, it's been done once.
The
Germany did
Germans
it in
did it.
2014-15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we spoke about that at Cali Cup, didn't we?
Yep.
Right.
So I need a 3 on WTC, so I'm
you
gonna
need
be
a
here
3
for a
Yeah,
while.
you're gonna be here a
Yeah.
while. You might have some like stop starts as well. That's the worst part.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a couple like 2s, and I'm gonna be really mad about it on the 3rd year.
Yeah, you have to play 7 Custodies lists in the last one.
Oh no!
No, we're just gonna put them on Custodes because that way no one gives them the
that's
mirror.
Lenin's job.
No, yeah, we can't. We're not allowed to win WTC without John and Custodies. It's in the painting contract.
What's the next question?
Dakota asks, when's Old World stat check?
We've not told you what the February show's about yet.
Yeah.
It's not that, but we haven't told
Make
you.
a more interesting game and universe, and I'll be there.
I mean, the universe is dope. I'm super into the universe. The game, I think, can be good. I think that they're just a little light on factions. I could be into it, though.
Bring out the high elf models again, and I'll buy in. I'm just waiting for high elves.
Access to a new local really like reinvigorated my ability to care about games that aren't 40k. Like I'm gonna have someone build up all my flesh eater courts like for realsies, to like actually use them at like local stuff. Like I have a local that supports all the games now, so it's reasonable for me to play them. So there's like a decent chance I'll fuck around with that a bit. It just seems very unlikely that whatever is released for Old World will live up to the raw, unadulterated awesomeness of flesh eater courts and Sigmar.
Yeah. So
I just
Dan is starting off a Old World Escalation League at the Dragon, and I just looked at that and went, that could be dangerous.
Saltire, get on it.
Yeah.
I think our store is doing one too. I'm just like, I can't. I don't have the time for it anymore. I just want to win a GT this year. Like that's the goal for this year is to go to and win a GT.
You'll have
For a
more matches
40K
this year.
goal.
You'll have backpacks on your models. You'll be unstoppable.
I still wouldn't have won my game against Thousand Suns where the most important play of the game failed a morale check and didn't get to do anything.
Just be better.
Fair. I just need to roll better at the dice. That's okay.
That's not what I said. I said be better.
I wish all the
Roll
Deathwatch
better.
players were better at WTC.
It would have been great.
It's reasonable. Probably would have been better if I'd done more than like 2 practice games with that army. Probably.
Same for us. No worries, man.
I still beat somebody on a national team with Deathwatch. So I don't know. I'm still with it in the mirror. So I think it's fine. Logan asks, when does Anthony start his foray into comp kill team? Spanish dominance has gone on for too long.
Are
you going to try
good
comp?
that game?
I think they actually are right now. Yeah.
I think veteran guardsmen are the best army in that game right now. Or
Because I can be
orcs were for a while as well. The commando kill team.
The thing with kill team is that it lets me do a thing that I've wanted to do, which is pay someone like way too much money to get like 7 really nicely painted models done and be like, that's my boys. But I only really want to do that for like Harlequins, so it's difficult for me to give a shit about a lot of the other random stuff that pops up in kill team. Harleys are probably the only army that has like that much universal appeal for me, but we'll see.
Drukhari, right?
I like Drukhari a lot, but I'm not like super into the troops in Drukhari. Like I love Drukhari, but I'm not like racks are cool, and then like
It's more the army of Drukhari that appeals to you.
Yeah, Cabalites do almost nothing for me. It's like the leaders and the elites and all the other shit that like is cool in Drukhari.
That's fair.
The next question is from another question from Jake, which is, or
Logan,
actually, I guess
still,
Logan has a second question because I just got distracted by the answer to the first question, which is, if you had a day to practice for a tournament but no one to practice for, what's better to, I would assume with, what's better to prep with? Going over terrain in TTS, self-hammer games, or just rereading your stuff?
I credit most of my success at LGT to going over the terrain in TTS beforehand. Granted, I did this with Brian, but like,
yeah,
could have done that solo. Like the ability to like know where I was deploying and what my first turn looked like does not require often an opponent, depending on the list. And the ability to do that in advance was like huge for like mostly honestly my mental, just being able to go into a game being like, that's just the matchup, you know where your shit has to go, there's limited options, just put it in the places that it needs to be. That's it.
It's also so easy to get pickup games on TTS. If that's the thing that you need reps for, just do that. There are plenty of communities out
I would
there.
argue it's pretty difficult sometimes to get like practice games on TTS of value, but that's
for you, I'm
sure. It depends where you're at with your game.
I just meant like it's really easy to be like looking for a picket name of TTS and then end up in like TTS hell of like, oh, that model's 0.062 over the
Fine.
relative
Go
flare.
look in the good
Just-
communities like
Yeah.
ours or Copenhammer or maybe Tryhard.
Get a pickup game against like Liam VSL or something in our Discord. It could happen. It's happened to some people I've seen in our Discord.
Yeah, you get rooshed.
Yeah, and then sometimes you get stuck with NAS.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do get stuck with NAS. It's true.
Nas, I will, for his credit, Nas is wonderful to test with. I will give him that
He
shout
is.
out. Nothing else about him is at all pleasant, but that.
Yeah. As long as you have no chess clock there to prevent you from looking up his rules, Nas is great to play against.
I don't know. Jake asks his question, which is, when does Anthony start his foray into comp underworlds?
If
Canadian
you can
dominance.
find, same
Canadian
thing.
dominance has gone on for too long. which
Anthony,
is
what does the Flesh
context.
Eater Course Underworld team look like?
Oh, I actually
They
don't
got cool
know.
looking models, actually. I think
I could
Go and
get
have a
into
look.
that.
Go and have a
all
look.
the
Share a
underworld
picture with
teams
us.
are pretty cool looking.
Flesh Eater Course
I like the
Underworld.
furious
It's
typing
the
sound.
Grim
edits you
Watch.
hear.
Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's so bad.
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, it's
Never
Crypt
mind.
Ghouls.
It's like shitty old crypt ghouls and a couple bats. It's real bad. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, fair.
Heartbreaking.
For context, Jake asked it because Canada came down and apparently won a decent chunk of the U.S. golden tickets.
That
Chance-
one
They
dude
didn't
has
just
a
do
cool
that.
club.
They also were like the team to beat at the WCW.
There is an outside chance that they release. Oh, this is gonna get real like deep cut nerdy, but we'll go here. I loved Dark Elves and Fantasy, and I actually really like the theoretical direction they have in Sigmar because they're the realm of shadow. And going into Sigmar, Malekith got fused with his dragon, so their leader is like a giant shadow dragon elf. So if that got a faction yeah, look at Innis. That's how I feel. If that got a faction, I'd be in. Because that's like all the things I love about Drukhari plus dragon. So if
It is the worst thing about 40k is that there are not dragons in this game. Dragons make
It's a
everything
void
better.
dragon.
That is not a dragon.
that's not
He's
a
the shard of
dragon.
the Void Dragon.
There's
How?
fire dragons.
What the
Nope.
fuck? Anyway,
Not
I'm just gonna pretend he didn't
Nathan,
say
you're
that.
wrong, and you should feel bad for your opinions
Oh
about
my
dragons
God.
and your classification of dragons. Frankly, I'm embarrassed.
Nobody
for you.
said it
I mean,
had
it
to
could
be
be
a
a wyvern.
fantasy dragon.
I'm embarrassed
True.
on your behalf,
tank?
Nathan. Just move to the next question.
All right.
The Helldrake
Adam-
is not a dragon. The Helldrake
Adam,
is
Stop!
stop. Adam asks, anyone had the pleasure of playing against Ultra Move Block's Skitarii Hunter cohort? I assume that's like the massive amount of transports full of Rangers one that I've seen popping up about.
I'm
like
still
120.
recovering from the last thing that we just said. What was the question?
Has anyone played against the Ultra Move Block's Skitarii Hunter cohort?
Oh,
And
yeah,
the
the
strategies.
Traxy and shit.
Yeah,
and the
it's also
strategies
a
to
fuck ton of
overcome-
Vanguard, which reduce your OC by 1.
Yeah. And then the
Imagine
question
running units
after
with more
that.
than one OC.
Well,
It
they
still goes
reduce
to
your-
0. OC can be modified to 0.
Yeah, they knock it to 0 because there's no rider that it doesn't. So they're
That's actually
they're a
kind of
little
spooky.
spooky. Yeah. Like you're not dead, but you might as well become your command phase.
The other question is, how do you deal with wall of bodies armies, essentially?
I
Like move
apply
blocking
gun
armies?
liberally to head generally.
Yeah, apply chain, same thing, but with
Hit
chain
them real
axe.
hard with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to, and we had one of our coaches for Team Canada, Phil, was running Skitarii Hunter cohort this weekend at our store championships, and he was playing into Ryan, a World Leaders player, and Ryan kept looking at the stats and everything and freaking out. And I said, no. Here's the trick: when you're playing a dad mech, you just don't respect them.
Yep.
Just apply bullet to head or chain axe to throat, and they disappear.
It's also the
100%,
same trick
yep.
for beating sisters. You just can't let them gaslight you into waiting till turn 3 to do it. If you do that, you're fucked. It's over. You
The
lost.
trick of the sisters is you can't give them that turn where you kill like 4 chaff units and they get like 7 miracle dice and then they kill you. You have to like kill them on the same
Yeah,
time.
you
to do
just
that.
everybody in all at the same time. Sisters can kill the shit out of 2 of your dudes. Like 2 units are Mega dead. Just I don't care who they are. They're not going to be there no more.
Jeremy, we're not playing in Canada. We're playing in real Sisters players.
Well, I think
Alright.
Jeremy's the Sisters player in this example.
I know he is. That's why
Oh.
I'm not respecting him either.
Yeah.
All right. Can we start tracking distance traveled for competing this year? This is another question.
Oh man, I'm gonna be the fucking goat.
Do
I think
players who
Anthony has
travel more?
almost anyone else beat.
Yeah, and then it's do players
How
who
many
travel more
Euro
slash
events did you do
further
this year,
generally
Anthony?
climb elo faster or have a higher rating?
How many what?
How many Euro events did you do this year?
5.
5? Jesus.
In 2023, I did. I mean, I can just look. It's in here.
Alpine, Alpine WTC, LGT, and...
Did you do Nottingham?
No.
I'm looking. Hold on. I might be bleeding the
interesting
end of last
question.
year in.
I think it might have been 4.
I'm looking on my own in a second.
I did 3 US events this year, but you'll do a lot more travel internally in the US.
That
than I
too.
do.
I think it's an interesting question. Maybe we'll track it via Anthony. That's what we're gonna do because I don't. We're just
me.
gonna Anthony, just send us your miles and we'll just
Yeah.
add them to a spreadsheet.
For me, it gets funny when you add in my judging work.
That barely
That's fair.
counts. It's not.
You know,
playing.
it's only 4.
It's not working, Jeremy. Sam Lemon asks, what can we expect from Stat Check in 2024? Any big changes, hopes, dreams? We've got some stat stuff kind of in the works, but I don't think. What were you?
We might sort out shirts this year, maybe. No promises.
We might. I don't know.
I'm like this close to just offering someone $100 of my own money to just be like, make this problem go away.
Here it comes.
Sorry,
Stat stuff.
I thought I had it open already. So this is one of the biggest things that's actually going to be happening. ELO started being taken really seriously by people this year. I was a little surprised, but also not. So in the interest of that and also in the interest of some transparency, there's going to be a really big change to the ELO system this year. And it is going to be backdated because I can do that. We are going to be implementing, there's a couple tweaks, but the biggest tweak that we're implementing is we are implementing decay for singles ELO. So the premise behind this basically is that if you are inactive for 3 months or longer, then for every 3 months of inactivity you have, your ELO will decay 20% of its current difference from the baseline. So basically, if you're at 2,000 ELO and you're inactive for 3 months, you'll lose 100 points. Nice and simple. And the reason that I'm going forward with this, because there was a fair amount of internal discussion, was it ends up being more accurate. Basically, real quickly, I'm not going to dive into this too much because I'm going to be writing an article and publishing it probably on Goonhammer, maybe locally. Orange line is if we add that DK, sorry, bright orange line and then dark orange line. I'm going to come up with some other things, but basically it's a few % more accurate if you do that through
Cliff is
the
pissed
vast
somewhere.
majority of the games that we look at.
I said
It's like
somewhere Cliff
80%.
is upset just because there's 2 orange lines. He's like,
Yeah. This was done this afternoon. I'm gonna make it nice for the actual thing. Here, actually, if we want to make Cliff really mad, we'll do this.
Oh no!
ah!
Can I tell you though that I've seen people publish figures that look like this in
Oh
scientific
no, I
journals?
believe it. I've seen it in professional publications. I've seen it in so many different things. It's pain and suffering. The monochrome black and white is my favorite. Different shades of gray.
I can actually see that pretty
Can you
clearly.
do the?
but I get what
Can
you're
you do
saying.
the?
Can you change one of them to be
colorblind-friendly
white?
version? I can't remember
which
if
one?
it does a colorblind friendly one. It's like purple and something or whatever.
I don't think they actually have it built in.
Ah, what a bunch of jerks!
That's much funnier.
Yeah, we'll just set it to greens.
Oh, God.
Colorblind people don't need to see.
All you really need to know is that the decay version is more accurate by like a percentage point or 2 for predictions, and that's kind of it.
And it encourages people to continue playing singles events. 1 GT every 3 months isn't really that much games for people at the high end. But yeah, the idea basically behind it is that if you haven't played 40k on the singles level for 6 months, you're not necessarily always, but you're going to be a little bit more, a little bit rustier. Now, if you're obviously playing teams in that same time, that's not true, but that also means that as soon as you go to a GT, you should just crush it.
You could probably make
and
an
then your
argument
score,
that
and then your score will rebound back up.
who were we talking to? I feel like we were talking to someone about this recently, and they suggested having teams just like not contribute to elo, but to stop decay or something like that. That idea seems
That'd be an interesting way of doing it. It would require us to start collecting the data for teams, which is something that I do want to do this year. There is some back-end improvement that we're working on, both in the data handling and also the data collection front, that will hopefully fix a lot of that. Because I would like to start reporting on big team events as well.
Yeah, that's
because
what I'm
there's
saying.
going to
So it
be
gives us a way to have that
an insane number of 8-man teams this year in North America.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It gives us a way to be like, hey, it doesn't count, but you know,
Yeah. And we don't count teams events because this comes up very frequently because the pairing process makes things really weird.
no.
And then we do have a new show coming, which we talked about earlier. That will be announced in a couple weeks. I don't know. Hopefully,
Obviously, we're sending a team to the Champion Cup.
Yep.
So we're doing that. So we'll hopefully be doing more on the coverage side of events thing. We're hoping to be at Cali Cup again. I think that's
at least me will be at Cali Cup again.
That's currently in conversations.
My current dream is to do commentary for WTC again if we get invited back. We don't know yet.
So
but if
we're hoping that you guys enjoyed what we're doing this year, that if we do more of the same and add some new stuff, you guys will have a good time. But as it often tends to be with StatCheck, what the new stuff will be tends to be based on what the person doing it has time for at the time, and it will occur as it does, because most of us are juggling this around other things going on. So we will be doing more. If you have suggestions, dump them in Discord, drop us a message. We would love to have any ideas that you guys have got about some cool stuff that we can do. We can't promise we'll make all of it. We have finite time, even me sometimes. But we hope that you guys are enjoying what we're doing. More of the same will make you guys happy. That's the goal.
I like being taunted by people who can invite me to WTC for commentary
in our chat. Maybe you're invited, maybe not.
I don't know.
Just said that we're going to get to rename one of his events.
Just tell me so that I can actually reserve time off, because that's important. How about that, Ishik? There you go. Sam also asks, instead of 40K, what other hobby or endeavors would you compete in and obsess about?
How long you got?
I really wish I was good at.
I've done a few.
At chess.
What'd you say?
I really wish I'd stayed good at chess, but I kind of stopped doing that like 15, 16. I feel like I would have been all right.
4 years ago.
Really would. Yeah, pretty much.
I was actually decent at hockey. If I'd gone to a high school with a team, maybe I could have played that and done okay. I wouldn't have been like a pro or anything.
Or if you grew up with like rich parents or something, because that's hockey.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm doing my first Muay Thai lesson, my first martial arts stuff in like 10 years on Monday. We're going to see if like being 36 years old makes it like very challenging or not.
It makes things hard.
Being out of shape might make it very challenging. But
I have been waking up at 6:30 every morning and working out. So hopefully it'll make it
then you'll be all right.
No, it'll still be hard, but
it's not going to be easy. But like you'll be all right.
Yeah. I won't die. Probably.
You shouldn't. Most likely.
Hopefully not. But yeah, I don't know. There's a long time where I did MMA stuff, and that would have been interesting to compete in.
Yeah. I played Hearthstone too much. I played WoW too much. I do things too much. That's my thing.
Yeah, I'd find something random and become obsessive about it. That's just how it goes.
My anyone who's like ever seen me not in a sweater, my like whole left arm is a sleeve. That was my first tattoo. Like that's just how I do things.
Nice.
Anthony does things by whole or not at all. That's very much one of his most appealing qualities.
Yeah. Or scariest if you're friends with me.
Or both, frankly.
Yeah.
It definitely was. It was a funnier moment watching Anthony be dangerous with just a box of snacks.
That's true.
Wasn't it an empty box of snacks too?
Yeah, it was.
It was funny. That was the moment where I was like, "Oh man, Anthony is like just actually dangerous." Paul Jensen asks, "You can go back in time 12 months and rewrite one core rule for 10th. Which one is it?"
Cut devastating wounds.
Yeah.
Indirect still.
Oh yeah, wait, sorry.
It.
Yeah.
Just remove indirect.
Yeah, just no indirect at all. A lot of the devastating wound stuff actually is resolved by you just not being able to indirect it.
I don't know. Dev wounds, I think they're fine where they're at right now.
I still think they should work the old way in melee, but that's fine.
That'd be sick. I'm super here for that. That would be awesome.
I think that would actually be cool.
Lost him.
I'm sure.
The next question.
Yeah, indirect. I would just adopt the 9th rule for
The
indirect.
next question is. Sure. Davin asks, I'm running an Ironstorm teams list with 2 Storm Ravens, 3 Redemptors, and Garnish. Is this a meme list, and why?
No,
I
it's
feel
a
like-
skew list.
I feel like you know the answer to this question, and you're just looking for our validation.
I mean, it's a
now.
lot of high toughness -1 damage stuff. It's definitely going to stat check some armies that are going to struggle to kill it. It's also very few things in one basket.
They're not that expensive. Like, that is still only like 1,080 points of your list.
Yeah, in 5 models,
Live your life.
I guess.
The next question is from Scott, which is thoughts on T-Suns at the moment.
I think T-Suns are really good in 8-man teams.
And also, I didn't skip Tommy's questions. We just did predictions for hot takes on Data Slate already a bit.
I think they're fine. I don't think that they're good, but I think that in teams they have some play.
I
But
think
you
they
do
are
need to
by
have-
far the most punishing army to mistakes of like anything that's like even.
Oh
vaguely
yeah,
good.
100%. Because they are very much of the you got to line up this, and this, and make sure that you don't do this, and this, or you just die.
Yeah, they're a
Yeah.
bit of a Ruby go-board machine, and it's
Yeah.
fun to watch them go off. Still very punishing to get within 18 of. You kind of need to know your heuristics on how you deal with T-Suns. Like, don't stand on objectives you don't have to. You know, kill the characters, like move blocks, things that you wouldn't expect to, and all that stuff. Which is a very interesting way to play against them. But they're just fine right now.
They're really hard to play against. I will say, if you go into like a meta that is unprepared to play against them, and you are very good at them, they can definitely blow some shit apart. Like
100%.
the degree to which you go from being perfectly fine to dead against T-Suns is like a very fragile line, and it's real like for both players, and it's really easy to trip.
Yeah, you too can beat a Roxar, but you don't want to have to.
Yeah.
All right. The last question from the Patreon Discord is from John, which is what will make other GSC units playable? What do you want for GSC in the upcoming slate?
They really need to separate the demo charge data sheet out. Like it's too much, and it
Demo charges should have 1 cost, and the melee unit should have a different cost.
+2 to charge when you show up from reserve.
Sure. My problem with GSC is like exactly what we were just saying there, right? Like it'll there's no amount of buff you can give that's not gonna just make it be like, you see that weapon? That's real fucked up. Take a lot of it. Like +2 to charge doesn't make metamorphs better than demo charges.
Well, I mean, I would also do the thing Jeremy said.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like, make them a different data sheet, give them some other cool stuff, make them able to consistently hit melee, and we're talking, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I love the idea of playing GSC as a melee army. Like it's one of the armies that I was like looking at getting
I
into.
love GSC.
Yeah.
I like hand flamers. I love melee weapons.
You remember I was like this close to buying into them to play Twisted Helix, and then I just like was like, wait, no, and then I just went and did other stuff.
All right. I pulled some questions from YouTube. There's not like a ton, so you guys are just not getting it.
The GSC
Thanks to-
detachment doesn't have no benefits from melee. You do get the sustained hits in melee. It is not
Yeah.
nothing, but it could be more. The fact that like the melee weapon is 2 attacks and the ranged weapon is d6 + 3 attacks is the joke.
And blast.
Yeah. Also, the ignore cover and sustain hits is definitely better than just the sustain hits that requires a charge, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you, Davlos, for the super chat for reaching a life goal of 2024 Phantasm. Paint Celestine says, can we change it to stat dash check / Eldar Arfarin balanced for the coaching link?
If
No.
you give us lots of money, maybe.
Ishik asks, what deadline do I want? The sooner the better, so that I can make sure that time off doesn't overlap with conferences and stuff. Anmec13 asks, can you beat Aussie players?
No, but apparently the French can.
And then Redrum
No,
says, let's say
cards
they... Yeah. Redrum asks, let's say they slap all the units that need a slap in Eldar. Do you think the index of Eldar has the depth to just bounce back because some units that are
Yeah.
good have not seen the light of day yet?
They could remove ranged and melee weapons from all Eldar datasheets, and I think most armies would be comfortable saying they'll get a 13 against them because of how well they'll score tactical.
And then the last question that I dug out of YouTube chat was also from Ishik, which is, hello, everyone. What is this podcast to boot?
I would love to see, watch Ishik say that, or listen to him pronounce that. That'd be very funny.
This
A boot?
podcast about nothing and everything.
Yeah.
There you go. And somebody said I didn't say what my year plans were, but I said health and hobbies. So they're like, that's it.
It's pretty good.
It's-
Also,
You said you
selling
wanted to
out.
win a GT this year.
Yeah, that's my 40K plan. I just need to paint all my stuff, basically. That's my goal.
My
Get all
only
the
goal for
stuff
the year
done.
is to get Nathan to sell out.
I'm getting what seems to be quite a healthy promotion, so I'm just going to take that.
Yeah, for now.
That's all.
My goal is to get X1 to record 5 episodes this year.
Oh no, I'm just going to win War Masters. There you go.
Hell
I'm going to
yeah.
win War Masters. That's what I'm going to do. I will train to win War Masters. How does that sound, folks?
I'm game for that. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We'll even make shorts about how Innes yelling at me as I make silly decisions.
I do like
great.
yelling at you.
It's true. So that's it. That's all the questions. I'm not gonna bother with pulling any last second ones. You guys had all the time in the world while we made this 2-hour show to put questions in there.
You should have asked your questions earlier if you wanted to ask us questions. Sorry, guys.
Innes, wheel us out in a wheelbarrow so you can sleep.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much again for being with us at the show. We've consistently had 80 viewers for the entire episode, which is awesome for our first episode back of the year. If you want to hear the plugs, go back and listen to them. I'm not doing them again. I'm not putting anybody through that. Please do check out all the things we mentioned. It should all be in the description. We have even a template description now because Jeremy's done the hard work and finally got that together. Check out our Patreon, check out the YouTube, check out all the other stuff. It's all there. Thank you so much, everybody. Good luck if you're at Turn this weekend. If you're at the Nottingham UKTC event, come and say hi. I do not have any dice or objectives or anything like that left to give away, but I do have me and my wonderful lack of personality. So come say hi. It'll be great. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Nathan.
Bye-bye.